Well, the UCLA offense, fan-freaking-tastic. The defense, not so much. Special teams, no problems. Let's grade it out today on today's episode of Locked On UCLA.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. It's Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for tuning in. This is Locked On UCLA. Thanks for making your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find it on YouTube. Just like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. In the meantime, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. In the meantime, no terms and conditions apply here. Let's grade out the UCLA football performance against Arizona State. I know I had my quick reaction after the game. Let's grade things immediately. All right, we're going to start with the good because it's Monday. People don't like Mondays. It is what it is. Second full week of November, I guess the end of the first full week. UCLA's offense came through with a 50 burger. A 50 burger. You get a cheeseburger, you just eat it, yum, yum, yum. Whatever it may be, 50 burger against Arizona State on the road in what I believe was a sellout crowd in Sun Devil Stadium. Pretty close to it. And the Bruins pretty much iced it away at the end, had a big lead as deep as 40, as big as 42-18 before Arizona State made it close. All the talk coming around the weekend was UCLA's running game following this game. And again, that's where we will start. Offensively, successes all around, just a couple of miscues here and there. First play of the game, DTR interception. A near costly fumble by Kaz Allen and a DTR fumble, almost for the most part, let Arizona State get back in the game after a punt, but largely UCLA's offense, the story of the game overall. They really didn't leave ASU any chance to get in this one. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, again, for the second straight week, not the most passing yards, but who's going to need the most passing yards when you're running for over 400 yards on the ground, 5 rushing touchdowns, and even though DTR threw for 2 touchdowns, the Bruins, Kaz Allen, 137 yards rushing and a touchdown, the 75-yard rushing touchdown, things we've all been waiting to see. DTR, 120 yards on the ground. Keegan Jones, nearly 100 yards. Yeah, that's nearly 3 rushers with almost 100 yards rushing. DTR, after that first pick, figured things out. The Bruins able to kind of dice through 13 different receptions for UCLA receivers, or UCLA targets. As we go through looking here, 8 different receivers for UCLA, again, getting picked out and getting receptions. 2 different Bruins getting receiving touchdowns. Michael Ezeki, Keegan Jones. Keegan Jones having a good day, having 98 yards rushing and a touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. So for Jones, finding his way into the lineup, where, of course, Zach Charbonnet did not play. And for the Bruins, well, the questions leading up to the Arizona game and to the USC game will all be about Zach Charbonnet. Today, not about Zach Charbonnet, although his absence alarming, but the Bruins' performance made it like he wasn't even gone. That's how dominant the UCLA run game was. The second time this season, Charbonnet has been shockingly missing in action. Just kind of, where MIA? Where'd he go? Well, he's on the bench, suited up. UCLA dominant offensively. When you can run the ball, as Chip Kelly said, when you need to, and everybody knows you're going to run, and they can, for 400 yards, even though ASU closed the gap to a 6-point game, the Bruins were dominant. 400 yards on the ground. Again, 400 yards on the ground, nearly 600 yards of offense. The greatest offensive day for the Bruins in terms of yardage was back against Bowling Green, despite their struggles. 626 yards of offense against Arizona State. The Bruins, a 50 burger. And while they've largely posted big numbers, scoring over 30 points in every game, it was nice to see a dominant win against Stanford, take care of business against Arizona, although largely reminiscent of that end of the Washington game, except this time UCLA iced it out with a late touchdown drive. There's no way that the UCLA Bruins, with DTR hurdling defenders, doing spectacular things all over, Kaz Allen showcasing the elite speed again, Keegan Jones looking great, everybody running the ball, even Colson Yankoff getting some key carries and a late touchdown to ice this one away. UCLA's offense, for me, A. No A pluses here. We're just going A. Straight A. The Bruins flying colors pass offensively, and it sets themselves up for a very favorable Arizona matchup against the Wildcats team who, if you remember during the bye week, I was kind of talking about how Arizona had been, before leading up to the week, very susceptible to the run against Arizona State, UCLA, and what I believed is their toughest non-SC game of the year, although Cal will be a chore on Black Friday, those kind of goofy games. The sentiment from UCLA fans, even seeing this on Twitter, how UCLA fans, what was it? The sentiment that in a Jim Mora era, when they were good, they would lose the games they were supposed to. In other eras, games that they were teams where they were supposed to be good and beat them, they would lose that game against Arizona State. Well, the Bruins beat Stanford at home, something UCLA couldn't seem to do over the previous decade, dominated them. Although very different Stanford Cardinal team. There's no McCaffrey, Toby Gerhart. They're not the same team that they were that previous decade. UCLA dominated the Cardinal. Against Arizona State, who a team that was rejuvenated with a quarterback that they had figured out how to move the football. Well, the Bruins would sometimes, as UCLA is kind of built, they can outscore teams, at least throughout the majority of the Pac-12. They can outscore teams. They couldn't do that against Oregon, but for the large majority, they can outscore teams. And when the defense can get a couple stops and UCLA's offense is clicking like it is, there's no way that, and they're going to lose. They almost coughed it up, let's be real, but UCLA still fairly confident in their offensive schemes. They were dominant, 50 points, an easy win last week. Stanford, easy win against Arizona State. The Bruins back in the top 10 in the coaches and AP poll. With all the carnage in college football, is that the offense and UCLA getting fired back up to maybe make a late dark horse run at a potential CFP spot, or continue to run at the minimum to the Pac-12 title game to possibly, at the worst, get themselves in line for the Rose Bowl. Maybe win or lose. But if you get to the Pac-12 title game, you can get to the Rose Bowl, and maybe put yourself in line, as Dorian Thompson-Robinson says, for something even greater. They got some of the help, and large of the help coming from the running backs for UCLA and help across the country that helps set them up for success. Success wasn't the way of the defense today, I guess on Saturday, but success, defense wasn't there. Let's grade out the defense and special teams, but not before I once again tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have the best access to the best qualified candidates available, maybe like that UCLA running back, or depth throughout your workforce like the UCLA running backs core. That's why you should check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Simple tools like screening questions makes it easy to focus on the candidates with the right skills and experience you want to quickly prioritize to interview and then hire. That's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get to it. The defense, well, some good moments, some not some good moments. First half, solid unit. Again, the defensive coordinator, Bill McGovern, still not well enough to be there and call the plays in person. So UCLA for the second game without their D coordinator, and we'll see how that makes a difference if he's pretty good back to health and nurse back to health to be in the Rose Bowl come Saturday evening against Arizona. Another second straight week where the Bruins play in Arizona school. But for now, UCLA's defense got to recover after giving up 349 yards to Trenton Bourguet, the former walk-on quarterback for ASU, came through, tossed it all around the yard. The Bruins did get 3 sacks, quite a few tackles for loss, overall totaling 6 tackles for loss, 2 from Grayson Murphy, 1, for Grayson Murphy. No, let's get this back. 2 tackles for loss for Grayson Murphy and Darius Muasau. 1 sack for each apiece. Even Leatu Latu having half a sack. You had David Magno with a tackle for loss. So the Bruins were stacking up some tackles for loss, and I thought that would be enough on my key. One of the keys to the game defensively was, hey, can UCLA get above around the 2 sack marker, 3 sacks, which is what they got, 6 tackles for loss overall, and UCLA would be successful enough to win this game against Arizona State. Well, they did that, but then after the offense slightly sputtered for a brief 2-drive spell, what it seemed like outside the DTR first pick and the other 2 fourth quarter, end of third quarter drives there for the Bruins, the defense really struggled. The offense went 6 for 6 in the red zone, all touchdowns with drives of 74 yards or longer, which kind of gave the defense a little bit of some rest, right? Well, ASU dominated time of possession. One could argue the defense got a bit tired from the offense going down the field so quickly and scoring time and time again. But you can't hurt and complain when your offense gives you 50 points to defend, and they needed every single one of those 50 points because UCLA's defense giving up 36. I know the Bruins turned it over a couple times, leading to 3 points off the DTR fumble, and then the initial pick, well, that eventually set up an easy drive for ASU with the 25-yard field goal. The Sun Devils led this game. Reminder, despite the Bruins winning this by 14, ASU led this 3-0, 10-7, and then from the end of the first quarter on, from the 2-minute mark of the first quarter when the UCLA Bruins gave up that first touchdown to ASU, dominated until they gave up that second touchdown from ASU where they got it to 35-18. UCLA went from down 10-7 to up 35-10. Yes, down 10-7 to up 35-10. Went on a nice scoring drive where the defense was having some success. Darius Muasa on that 1 sack, untouched, getting to the quarterback. But then, kind of reminiscent, again, that Washington game where the Bruins let the opposition back in it, where in the second half, ASU getting that touchdown to make it 35-18. Kaz Allen literally touches it once and he's gone. UCLA defense probably still tired, for the most part, gives up another score. But the big things were the Sun Devil offense getting to the red zone 6 times. Total 7, but we're not going to count that last 15 seconds where they're down 2 scores and threw a pick trying to force things into the end zone. They needed 2 touchdowns. UCLA did force that 1 turnover, albeit it's not going to affect this grade for me today because when you're up 2 scores and ASU is at your 7-yard line or close to it deep in the red zone with 15 seconds down 14 points, well, that's not going to really help. Even though it ended the game, it's not going to help your grade. UCLA stymied Arizona State in the middle and just let them get back in the game late when they really could have clamped it down, had a very impressive win by 3 or 4 scores on the road. Instead, it's another one of those games where, you blink your eyes, it's 42-18, and all of a sudden it's 42-36. And luckily for the Bruins, the offense figured it out with 6 minutes to go, marched down the field, and scored. Defensively, overall, for UCLA, after Jalen Davies getting another pick for the Bruins, I'm going to say this defensive performance about a C to C minus for my perspective and my tastes for UCLA against Arizona State. C to C minus, some things to work on. When you have 3 sacks, you forced a turnover, 6 tackles for loss. There was a stretch where they dominated and allowed the offense to get the gears working and vault from 3 points down to 25 points up before ASU scored a touchdown in that third quarter to make it a 17-point game. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so offense was graded an A, defense graded hybrid between barely passing, leaning more towards if you're on a sliding scale, towards C minus, kind of being nice today because, it looked good. I glanced away, and all of a sudden it was close. You're like, what just happened? So obviously there was some success defensively. There was. But there's things to shore up because soon enough, there will be teams in later games that will take advantage of late game woes or the defensive miscues. USC, they're going to try and score all day long against them, and the Bruins need to shore that up. Arizona, well, they've showcased themselves as a possible team to march up and down the field. Well, you got to shore things up. Cal just put up a bunch of points on USC. UCLA's got to shore it up. And if they want to win a Pac-12 championship and showcase to the College Football Playoff Committee that they want to be in a New Year's Six Bowl, win or lose in the Pac-12 title game, whether it's an automatic berth to the Rose Bowl, getting to the College Football Playoff as they are very much on the outside looking in, with some help over this most recent weekend, the defense has to get more lights out and impressive down the stretch to have teams take them seriously. The committee, the country, the nation take them seriously, especially if they want that win versus SC at home and that potential, very probable, if UCLA wins out, rematch with Oregon if they get past a very tough schedule through the rest of the season. But the way they've been destroying teams, it would be a very likely matchup if UCLA were to have a rematch against Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. That's a possible rematch they could have, very likely. That's what all things are pointing to, barring a late season collapse for the Ducks. The Bruins, if they want those matchups to go well against the Trojans, the Cats, the Bears, and potentially the Ducks, the defense got to get better than a C minus, officially, C minus grade if they want to be a quality opponent for a Pac-12 championship and to win a Rose Bowl game or even further and compete into a college football playoff for the first time in their program history. To see a college football playoff committee that gave them no respect in their first rankings and giving not a lot of teams too much respect outside of those teams in the South, the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever it may be, with the lack of schedule and ranked wins that the committee values. They do have ranked wins through the Bruins, but they don't value what the Bruins have done so far. Defense has got to shore up. Some good moments, tackles for loss. They did the keys they need to win. Now, not only do you want to win, you want to get better moving forward. And there's been good performances. That Utah performance was pretty solid for the defense in terms of stymieing that Utah attack when they're a bit healthier way back when they played the Bruins in the Rose Bowl early October. Now, a month later, defense still got to get better. We'll see what it's different when the defensive coordinator, potentially Bill McGovern, is back this weekend against Arizona. We'll see how much that changes. Does money things change with the big line for the Bruins against Arizona and the Wildcats coming this weekend? Again, another game where the Bruins about 3-score favorites. Just know that BetOnline is your continued source and your number one source for all football betting needs and basketball betting needs. The Bruins start tonight, the 2022-23 journey to March Madness to the national championship game starts on November 7th tonight against Sac State, where the Bruins, a late tip, 8:30, get excited to try and knock off the Hornets. That's where you can find all your betting needs. Find the latest player developments, matchups, news with podcasts and in-depth analysis every game for BetOnline. They're your continued source for all your sports wagering information. Up-to-the-minute alerts with scores for every sport out there, for all your favorite games, events, golf, boxing, MMA, baseball just ended, so go check it out. Basketball just started. Getting excited there. Head to the website or use your mobile device to learn more about BetOnline, where the game starts. And where this third and final segment starts, and we'll be ending our show for Locked On UCLA today, is basketball. We will have a brief reaction to this one, maybe after the game, or we can do it in the next podcast. Just hit the comments and let me know if you like to have the mini post-game reactions or if you like to just wait to the next day and get my official reaction. But overall, UCLA Bruins, the UCLA Bruins, 8th ranked team in the country to start is their highest ranking from what I've seen. Bruins taking on a Sac State team near the bottom of the Big Sky, approximately an 8:40 Pacific time tip in Pauley Pavilion after a back-to-back doubleheader with the UCLA women's team starting against the Cal Poly Mustangs. As the women start first, the men start second. Let's talk about Mick Cronin's bunch. As UCLA 27-8 last year, the big contributors, the big returners: Tiger Campbell, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kenneth Nuba, Jalen Clark, David Singleton. Those are the seniors, the veterans coming back. You get Mac Etienne coming off injury, Will McClendon coming off injury, and the dynamic freshman who everybody's all excited about, Amari Bailey, Dylan Andrews, Abramo Zanka, Adem Bona, Jack Seiler, all these guys that can make impacts. And yes, while I mentioned all those 6 freshmen, Evan Manjikian, some walk-ons mixed in there, there's certainly guys who will stand out, be exciting like we expect them to be, or there might be guys who, some of the freshmen, who's going to make more of an impact, well, Mick Cronin's been, from what I've seen in every public appearance, always been very, very appreciative of the offensive abilities of Amari Bailey so far. The sheer athleticism, the freshman, the dynamic defense that they were able to showcase for the most part against Concordia in their exhibition, despite the slow start offensively. How can the athleticism go against the Sac State team that's coming in with a new head coach in David Patrick, first-year head coach for Sacramento State? The year before, Sac State was 11-18 overall, 6-14 near the bottom of the Big Sky Conference, but a new coach, their entire starting five, their expected starting five for the Hornets, is an interesting unit. In the day and age where UCLA did not get a single transfer in, Sac State, their entire starting five started at a different university. You have Hunter Marks, who's a potential starter. He transferred from Hartford. He's an Australian senior, 6'9". Zach Chappelle started his career at San Jose State, although he's a Sacramento kid. These are all guys who are expected starters for the Hornets. Johnny Hunt started at Oregon State. Callum McRae, a big 7-foot transfer, more of a facilitator than a dominant force down low. In McRae from UC Riverside, the New Zealand product, who might shoot a couple of threes tonight. Look out for McRae. And then Cole Mawane, who is the 6'9" transfer, another Australian from Oklahoma. Don't know what the Hornets are going to present as a challenge for this evening for the Bruins in Pauley Pavilion in their home opener, the official season opener and tip-off, because the Bruins have already shown in a closed-door scrimmage, reportedly, they were able to beat a ranked team, technically on the road, not the same Viejas Arena atmosphere that UCLA would have seen during the regular season, but back and forth they went, jumped out to that lead, had some good reports. Against Concordia, their first public viewing, for the Bruins. Everybody kind of seeing what's up. Eagles kept him, struggling early shooting the basketball, and UCLA then went on a torrid tear, hands in the passing lanes, tipping basketballs, block shots, steals everything, and really poured it on late. Sac State, from what I saw last year, although this kind of being a very different roster with a different coach, they're physical but could not score the basketball. What do I see from this Hornets team tonight? I'm not really sure. First games are very weird. While we missed the 24 straight hours of tip-off with that college basketball season where it used to tip off, now even 10 days earlier, college basketball starting than it used to start, closer to Thanksgiving. UCLA, well, the Bruins, well, they should win this game fairly easily. I think the line is about 25 points from what I've seen. It'll be physical, somewhat eerily reminiscent, one might think, of that CSU Bakersfield opener last year against the Roadrunners. Big thing is UCLA sustained a couple of bumps and bruises against the Runners last year in the 21-22 opener. That's something to hopefully watch out for if the Bruins can remain healthy through these early home non-conference games against some scrappy mid-majors. Sac State, a team who's looking to build with a new head coach with a lot of new guys. You have Long Beach State following in the week, reigning Big West regular season champs. You have Norfolk State, they're a reigning conference champ as well. So you got teams who are coming off some good program success, and then Sac State is trying to build. UCLA should win this game, and the Bruins, they've only played Sac State twice in program history, dominated them both times, put up 86 points, different eras. We'll see. We'll see how dominant the Bruins are. Good showing tonight can showcase, all right, they can try and tread through this non-conference slate of home games rather easily and not try to give us a scare. Every night's a different night, but opening night should be fun. And while the Bruins have fared differently over different nights, this one against Sac State should be very physical early, but let's look out for the athleticism and the shooting percentage. If the Bruins shoot better than they did to start against Concordia, where they started 5 of 21. If they shoot like they apparently did against San Diego State in the closed-door scrimmage, albeit some walk-ons playing in that game, different little tidbits here and there between the Aztecs and the Bruins in the closed-door scrimmage, where they put up 89 points against a very stout defensive team from a year ago in San Diego State from the Mountain West, who made a tournament appearance. UCLA could shoot the ball early. The real keys I want to see is rebounding. How dominant can they be on the glass? Sac State does have some size, but again, all the eyes have been on UCLA's athleticism for Mick Cronin's bunch this year. 2, let's see how well the Bruins can shoot from 3. If they can rebound the basketball by a plus 15 plus 20 margin. That means defense is going good if Sac State can't get a bucket and the Bruins are hitting the glass hard. 2, if UCLA can hit the three ball good in the early part of the season. Game 1, the exhibition season, I should say, Tiger Campbell, Jaime Hawkins Jr., really struggled in that exhibition compared to their previous closed-door scrimmage. Can the Bruins shoot the three ball well, and what is the rebounding margin? Those are the things. What are the key little stats that will make the difference? Obviously, Amari Bailey will be fun to see freshman-wise. Which freshman will have the individual standout? I would like to see what, Dylan Andrews, what will he do? What's his role for UCLA this year? Maybe Abramo Zonka. It's not going to be the guys who we expect, or as you might be expecting, see at home to be the key guys that make impacts. I want to see what those guys, the Zonkas, the 21-year-old Italian freshman coming in, what's his role this season? His role tonight. Dylan Andrews, what are those guys' roles? Dembona hyped up, Bailey hyped up. Everybody's talking about Triple J, right? Jaime Hawkins Jr. You got Tiger Campbell. You got guys. I want to see what these freshmen who can make or break the difference into the Bruins having not only just a dominant team, but being from a good team to a solid team to a great team. And not every great team makes it to the Final Four or even wins a national championship. Sometimes it could be a good team that's just consistent all year long. And how consistent can the Bruins be? Again tonight, looking for the Bruins against Sac State. It's a later tip, depending on how early the women's game of the men's and women's doubleheader at Pauley Pavilion ends. The Bruins women, they're trying to go back to the tournament after last year's WNIT appearance. So we'll see how they do against Cal Poly. In the meantime, for the men, 3-point shots, rebounding, and I want to see overall through the season, Dylan Andrews and Abramo Zonka. Those are two guys to look out for as some key contributors in certain little aspects in as freshmen. Which one of those two, or if not both, can be guys that can make important plays or have important roles, whether it be a 5-minute stretch, coming in and needing to take over and get a key bucket in a key game. What are those roles that UCLA needs to have filled to be a good, if not great team riding to another Final Four under Mick Cronin if they want to compete for a national championship this season? Those are the guys I'm trying to focus on for maybe tonight, through the first few weeks, the development of the freshmen, how well the Bruins can shoot, can they score, and how active they are defensively. That's what Mick Cronin's been really emphasizing with a lot of youth mixed with his veterans. What is the communication like on the floor? Is it good? Is it bad? Are they exciting? Well, maybe we won't know all the answers to these questions tonight, but certainly it's different when the season's officially starting and the Bruins finally get tip-off. Well, we're excited. All football in the top 10, basketball in the top 10. You can't be more excited if you're a UCLA fan. I know March is exciting. Late December is exciting when you can get the bowl season in college football. You can get the likes of some key matchups for UCLA basketball. But in the end, there's nothing quite like tip-off in the college basketball season with so many games going on. We'll react to it, go in depth about it later tonight and for the next episode for Locked On UCLA. In the meantime, well, let's go check out Locked On Sports Today. They've got their take of the day. They've got big game recaps with the NFL happening yesterday and everything over the weekend. Big stories already happening throughout the sports world today. Well, go check out Locked On Sports Today. Free wherever you get your podcasts, and they're available on YouTube. Just like Locked On UCLA, it's free wherever you get your podcasts, and go like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Well, thanks for tuning in today, UCLA fans. Get a very excited A clap. Let's end this one today, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, let's bring out the sweater. I'm cold. It's not too cold, but it is what it is. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins.